Too much control is bad.
Little control.
Too little control is bad.
Being balanced.
Except for
So
Josh.
if you only had to choose one,
Yo.
what up?
Que lo que, mi gente?
What's going on?
Yo, Jay, I'm going to start with one thing. Y ese polochecito, loco. Ese
First, producer, okay? Please.
Zoom
Focus
in.
this camera. Can you zoom this
Ay,
logo right here?
Yo, they haven't paid.
This episode for Industry has been brought up to you. Sponsored by La Fonfer Constructora. We're out here. We got apartments available. All right.
Damn,
So-
that's a real plug, bro. Wow.
I can
ponerlo
Please,
ahí.
let's call the engineer right now. Can we
Wow.
call him in?
No, we can't. We can't.
You know
Yo,
what?
what up?
I'm gonna drop race number real quick. So if you want looking for 5%
Look at the
discount,
graphics in the screen.
Look at the number right
It's gonna
here.
be like right
All
here.
can you please put
Right,
here.
if you
Oh, I'm
sorry. No.
Hey. I'm still, in my defense, I'm still trying to get acclimated to having an official studio. I feel like, we're
What are you talking about? We
graduating,
always
guys.
had a studio, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, come
Well,
on, bro. We went from the basement to the penthouse, like Drake said,
hey,
bro.
yo.
Ya tú
More
sabes.
respect to
More
Yo.
respect to the basement, lo
Bro,
original.
The humble beginnings.
Damn,
There we
Love
go.
it.
bro.
That's
I know
better.
higher
That's
studios is
better.
the shit, pero
It
coño,
says
bro.
higher. You know?
So penthouse.
It lives up to his name. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yo,
But again, look, if you say J, La Fonfer, you get a 5% discount. Call Ray.
You approve that?
I don't know. And so I guess we have to do it, right? It's live on YouTube.
That's it. There you go. And you know the faces. Josh.
Yeah. Yo,
Ray,
Josh, what's up? Ya, que Jay habla mucho. Ya, esa payola, that's a quick payola.
Yo, you're about to start growing
I only
hair.
gave you $20, bro. For real. Yo, Jelly, what up?
Everything's good, man.
Yo, Josh, control.
Everything good.
We're going to talk about control today.
Yeah, we're talking about control. How much control is too much
too little?
control, right?
Or
And
is there such thing as too much control?
who we giving control to,
I don't know.
right?
I mean, listen, to my defense, in my household, my wife has control. Baby.
I think that's the same for all of us.
God.
You know what happened there?
He's hot.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
In
still
the
hot.
last episode,
He's
Bro,
hot from
that
that
plug and
episode.
play work,
in the
bro.
last episode, se calentó.
Lo tienen caliente.
Yeah, so now he has to, right? You took care of that real nice and early, bro.
Yeah, man.
In this
You gotta
episode.
make up. You gotta make up.
No, but yo, seriously, guys, control. Too much control, too little control. Let's start with government,
Okay.
right? So how do you guys feel like there are cities where there's less government, right? And there are cities where you feel like there's too much government, right? We'll take New York City, for example. Everybody heard about the announcement with the Airbnb. You're not allowed to Airbnb anymore, or at least not like you used to, right? You can't do it the way that you used to. Why? Because the government stepped in. They have their reasons, which we'll go over, but how do you feel about that?
What do you think, Jelly, on that? On the topic itself.
Damn.
I like how you throw back to me. It's all
Bro, I'm throwing the alley.
Bunch of bus drivers here,
Slam
man.
dunking, my brother.
I mean, look, the government always gonna find a reason to, come up with certain scenarios for what's best for a city, right? But is it fair to, let's say, a landowner that they bought their buildings and they say, the objective I want to achieve is, income.
Mm-hmm.
This is the strategy I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it Airbnb, and then from one day to another, that's taken out of your, your reach because the government says now you can no longer do it. I don't think it's right.
So let's make a couple things clear. Let's set a couple
Let's give a little bit of background.
background.
Yeah.
Right. You want to do that, Josh?
Because everyone might not be aware of it. No, I'll let you take the lead.
Right. So look, it's not that you can't do the Airbnb anymore, right? But
on the short term,
you can't do the short term.
rental.
Yeah.
and you can't do it under 30 days. Right? So you can't rent for like 2 nights. For example. But here are the reasons. So, and then there's there's other things too. Like, okay, you got to register, you got to get a license for it, right? Like you got to now, you got to be approved to be able to do it, right? In certain states, certain neighborhoods allow it, certain neighborhoods don't. And certain neighborhoods have different reasons. Here's the main reason that the government is saying we got to control this, right? Here's the reason that they're saying. The price of housing, the cost of living, right? It says that Airbnbs are driving the cost of living up because a lot of landlords, a lot of homeowners are making more money Airbnb-ing their places as opposed to long-term rentals, right? So if I don't have to if I have an extra apartment and I put it on an Airbnb and I make double, triple what I would if I rented long-term, right? Then now that's one less apartment that's available for rent long-term for New York City families.
That's what they're claiming.
You could get behind that, right? You could get behind that. if you dig in a little bit, right, and a couple years before, right, like everybody knows what lobbyists are, right? Like the hotel industry paid millions upon millions of dollars on lobbying in many countries and in many cities to block Airbnb when Airbnb came
So in other
out.
words, are you saying that's pretty much like quote unquote?
I'm not saying anything, Jay.
Because
Jay, I'm not saying anything.
It seems to me more like that's the way that it's going.
Yo no estoy diciendo nada. I'm not saying.
I know what you mean, but
So those are the reasons. Now, so I could very logically sit down with somebody that's going to give me an argument as to, look, the government needs to step in because then that family of 4 or 5 that can't afford $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in rent, like it's happening in New York City. We got to be able to step in. Somebody has to step in and take care of them. But then you could see it like Argelis is saying, well, I'm also paying the high rent or the high mortgage, right? And I need to be allowed to get the most amount of money that I can for the property that I'm investing in, right?
Yeah.
So it's twofold.
There's always two sides to the story.
I mean, I could see the pros and the cons. I think that like you mentioned, in some states, I think it's by zone, right? So like certain zoning will be ideal. Like I guess on the pro side of it, like let's use the city of Manhattan, for instance, or a place gentrified like Williamsburg. If you pick up a specific zip code, then I can see how short-term rentals may be a better option, right? Because ideally, most people that live there for the longer period of time, they already were removed from those areas.
Well, I mean, there's still a lot of them. There's still a lot.
However, a lot of the same landlords turn their own homes into Airbnbs, right? But again, I could also see how it could be a deficit on the revenue because now it's like I was renting every, in a week, I was getting short-term rentals of 2-3 days. I was making this amount of dollars, and now it's like that whole revenue stream dropped. So I think if I look at it from that standpoint, I think it's a loss for the city in terms of the revenue, in terms of the taxation. That might be an L for the city.
Still have to claim you still have to claim the income as earnings.
Yeah, but if you're going from making, for instance, $20,000 a week to as opposed to like
I can see what you're saying. Right, so you're gonna generate less. Right?
There's less money to the city.
Yeah, there's a loss of revenue to the city, which is also going to impact tourism. Right, because now you have some people that are more comfortable going the Airbnb route to stay in the city.
I mean, I guess now that's a thing.
Yeah, then maybe staying in a hotel. So it's gonna. There's quite a few things that are being impacted here.
What the stipulations are when they register to be able to rent under the 30 days.
Well, I don't
think they can.
No, I don't think you can.
Yeah,
because in LA, you can't for sure. And I think in Florida, there's areas.
No, I think you have to register to be able to rent for a minimum for at least 30 days.
And if I recall correctly, right, from the article that we kind of shared amongst us, that if you still live in the apartment and let's say have a room,
you have to live.
You have to live there, but you can still rent out that room. But you can't, like, let's say, for example, get a lease and then just say, you know what? I'm gonna Airbnb this entire apartment out. That you can't do anymore.
Right.
I wonder if Airbnb has like secret shoppers, like like you said, like you have to live in that apartment. Like how do you?
Well, remember this is not Airbnb putting these rules.
It's not Airbnb.
Like, so
it's the city. The city created legislation.
So Airbnb sued the city.
Yes.
And then they lost the suit.
They lost,
right?
That's crazy. Yeah, because it actually other states like.
But then, so it begs the question. So what we're talking about is control, right? So how much control is too much control? Because you could make the argument both ways there. Maybe listen, the government stepped over the line. That's too much control. How are you gonna tell me what to do with my property?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you also have to see it like, let's say you have a job in Manhattan, right? And you spend most of your time in Manhattan. You want to find an apartment.
Can I live in Manhattan for sure, rather than having the 2.5 hour?
The landlords are saying, well, I'm not gonna rent it long term because I want to get my money on the quick end. And I get more money that way. You have to look at it from both sides.
But ideally,
was it really landlords, right, that were, let's say, renting out apartments in Airbnb? I think it was more people that were, let's say, leasing apartments and then were subleasing it through Airbnb and renting them out through Airbnb. But they were the one responsible for paying the rent on that apartment.
Like I know in some,
but
I know that. Yeah, but in Georgia,
I
know a couple of people that did that in Georgia, and they actually make some bread, bro. Like
so
they would just lease apartments. They would sublease their apartments that they lease, and they make a lot of money out of that.
I want to ask you guys because you said something, Jelly, earlier. You were saying that, and I don't know if you meant it this way, but you were saying along the lines like is it best for the city to go the route of this sort of legislation? Right?
No, I'm saying there's two sides to it.
Of course,
I'm saying the city sees it one way, and then the people that are affected.
I'm gonna throw the curveball here. There's the curveball.
Okay,
there are two sides to it. Mm-hmm. But one side, right? It's a constructed argument. Have you heard of anyone complaining like any civilian, any citizen, have you heard anyone, has that been a topic of conversation? Like, damn, I can't wait for all these Airbnbs to go away from my city.
For sure.
Have you heard it?
Yeah.
Really?
I heard a lot of complaints.
I can't say
Really?
that I personally know anyone that was complaining about there being too many Airbnbs. Now, I have
haven't
heard
heard
people complain, it's hard for me to find an apartment that I can afford. Now, what the reason is.
Right. You think did they go as far as saying, because of all these Airbnbs, my rent is going up?
Yeah.
I don't
Really,
I don't think people really
I
understood.
heard that. Just I also heard a lot of people complaining.
Have you heard
about
it
so
from
many
like
Airbnbs.
who have you heard it from?
From people, bro, in the hood. I'm in the hood. All
In
day.
the hood, you heard this shit?
You
I'm
know what I mean. The
calling
hood,
you out,
bro.
That's a lie.
You know the hood, bro.
Bro.
Like the nice hood. I'm not
Jay,
talking
say
about
one
like the-
person.
He's
Jay.
a fucking
Bro, I can't call
Say
no
one
names,
person that
bro.
we
I
know.
can't call no names. I'm
You
not
can't
giving
call
you
no
the
names.
names.
So
I'm
you
giving them up.
okay,
This guys, bro.
I want to make sure I understand. So you
This
heard
guy.
from people saying, okay, the reason that they gave you that their rent was going up or they couldn't
It's
find
because
a
there's
place,
too many
it's because
Airbnbs.
there's too many Airbnbs.
Yo, bro, that's what I heard, bro. And I'm sticking by it. All right,
All right, man. So gun to your head, that's what you heard. All right,
bro. I'm dying with it.
All right.
Yo, guys, roll the tape.
Can we get a quote real quick?
Well, so let's go.
Yo.
Let's go back to the topic of control. Is the government? And I've expressed this on this podcast. So I've expressed this in private conversations that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think the government is overstepping here.
Okay.
That's me.
What's
That's
your
my stance
why?
on that. Well, I think in the society that we live in, right, that the business owner, right, and in this case, if you own a building or you own an apartment, or even if you're renting that apartment, you have a contract with the building owner for that apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's within reason what you're doing with that apartment, as long as it's not illegal, right? You should be able to free to do what you want with that apartment. Your responsibility is to make sure.
Yeah, but now they're making it illegal.
But exactly. So, but before that, what I'm saying is when you sign that lease saying, okay,
Yeah, but wouldn't the lease say that you're not allowed to?
you're
like,
not
I mean,
Some
some
of
of them do. Some say you can't
You can't
sublease.
sublet.
right?
Yo,
But-
bro, you
Put that shit in your lease,
right?
bro.
I mean, that's something that listen as
I
as
gotta
an
put
owner.
that shit up.
Yeah.
You just made me think about it.
Well,
right
that
now.
is something that if you're a business
Especially when
owner,
your friends asking, complaining
yeah.
about Airbnb.
Yeah, if you're an owner of real estate, right, that is something that you might want to consider including, right, that you can't sublease or Airbnb. But that is also something that should have been based on the
Discussed,
contract
true. But-
between the owner
so-
and renter.
I
Not
agree,
the city
and I agree with
legislature.
you, and that's why I also think it's overstepping, because at some point, right, as society, and we're gonna probably take this into different directions, like not just with government, but at some point, you gotta let society in this particular conversation make those individual agreements, right? Like if I own apartments. And I just care that my rent's being paid and my place is being taken care of. And then I'll say, look, I'll allow you to Airbnb it because we're in a very tourist
Area.
destination. And then I could probably turn around and say, yo, Jay, you want to sublet it? Yeah. There's a 10% increase on that price because I'm going to allow you to increase
Exactly.
it. That's an agreement between you and I. It's your property. It's my agreement that I signed with you. Why should a third party come in and have a say?
Yeah, I mean,
Now, again, with the exception of Jay's friends, right, that are complaining about the
yeah, bro,
Airbnb.
stop picking on my friends right now, bro. I don't want to catch
I
no
never
heat.
heard anybody
I'm
say, yo,
gonna spend the day with Jay in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know.
yo. And then if you see where Jay spends the days,
I know.
like I picture somebody with a Georgie walking up to him. Like, yo,
Jesus, you know what, man? Stop picking on the hood, bro.
Yeah, I think definitely, at least for me, God, this is government overstepping, right? That is something that's between the renter and the owner, and they have a contract. Now, whatever's in that contract, there's
gotta-
laws in there to protect both parties,
Correct.
right? And I think that's as far as it should go. At least for me and my political views, I want to see government taking less of control on what we do as free people and allowing the free market to take control and let the market dictate where it should or shouldn't go.
look, I agree. I think that there are things that need to be that people got like government has to step in, right? But I think that we're conditioned to thinking that there are more things that we need stepping into than what it should be.
I think there's one that out of the Airbnb situation that I think we all gonna have like a unanimous
Nope, that's a lie, bro.
Trust me.
We've never been unanimous on a thought. But go ahead. Let him finish his thought.
Oh, the congestion pricing.
You know what? I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit.
You know, I think it's the best thing that ever happened. You want to go below 96, you got to pay, bro.
Come on, man.
I mean, listen.
You know, I don't hang out with Jay.
Jelly, I'm letting you know right now, I'm never going to come see you at your site again once that takes effect.
But when does that take effect? Where do you feel with that?
So what are you talking about?
Like,
what are you talking about?
Is that too much control from the
No,
government?
but what are you talking about? What is it with the congestion pricing? Can you explain?
Oh, so I think
Well,
everybody's
there might be somebody that's out of the area that
Listeners
doesn't.
away from the United States.
We got
What
two
is
guys
that?
in Australia, bro.
So the first city in the whole U.S. that's proposing. I think
Is that true?
sometime in March.
The first city?
Yeah, the first city.
Wow.
Proposing sometime in March
I'm
of
gonna fact check
2024,
your ass, believe
where
that.
if you're driving into the city and passing south of, I think 60th Street, that's the street where you're gonna get tolled a certain amount. I'm not sure.
Tax. You're gonna get taxed.
Not tax. It's like a toll.
Yeah, it's a tax.
Well, it's a toll, but I mean, it's basically a tax because
Right.
you're wanting to
It's
go
called the
into the
congestion
city.
tax,
They want to
yeah.
lower how much
Yeah, to lower the
traffic goes
traffic.
into that area.
I mean,
right?
look, to all the defense, though, I'm just trying to play it devil's
Here we go.
advocate.
Here we
Ahí
go.
va.
Traffic in that area, it's crazy. I mean,
Take the train, bro.
Bro, in the train, you see mad bums. Like, people get, like, bro, like, I mean, listen, when was the last time that you took the train?
Damn.
Exactly. So, like, now, if you, like, with all the shit that's happening in the city right now, people that are taking the train are getting assaulted, they're getting stabbed, bro, like, fights all the fucking time. So,
I
it's
actually wanna
crazy. You
touch
don't
on
want to
this.
be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So,
I get it.
What do you think are other factors that are impacting, like some of the things that we're talking about, right? They want less people, less traffic going into those areas, right? In addition to that, right, we have all these migrants that came into this into the city, right? They're talking about
and didn't they just pass a law
10,000.
too that if I think it's like petty theft, like if they rob you,
Yeah.
like, a specific amount of dollars, like nobody's gonna go to jail. Like,
But they're
that's
saying
crazy to me,
10,000 migrants coming into the city every month since pretty much that began. Do you think that that's a factor in this type of legislation, right?
I think that this has been
This has been
a
way
topic
before
of
that.
conversation for many years now. I think it's
I think
it's a congestion tax, right?
7 years already.
Right. The name says it's a congestion tax, right? That's number one. It's the whole going green, right? Less vehicles in the street, right?
Okay.
The biggest problem that I see with it is how are you going to control that? Because
I got you right now. Let me.
all that's gonna
let me
happen.
interrupt you
You
real
know
quick.
what? You know what's gonna happen, right? No one's gonna decide not to drive down past below 60.
Bro, let me just call
The city's just
let me
gonna
call
have
Mayor
an additional-
Adams right now.
Come
I'm
on.
gonna call Mayor Adams. Producer, can I get my phone real quick?
Oye, el otro.
Yo, bro,
Come on, man.
y no si bien, que tú tienes
No,
ahí,
no, I'm
bro.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, bro. I appreciate you so much. Let me just make this call real quick. Let me just call Mayor Adams, right?
Here we go.
Oh God.
Oh God, bro! While you call Mayor Adams, right?
God.
I'm gonna go.
Bro, no, I mean that's a great question for him. Don't you agree?
Yeah, so get him
So
on
if
the
La
line.
Mega gets him, why can't Industreet get him?
Oh, we could get him, bro.
Exact. You know what? Matter of
Oh,
fact,
shit.
I'm not even gonna bother. Now you turn me off. Ya pagaste.
Está pagado.
Bueno, el problema is I don't know how I turned you on, right? So that's the biggest
yeah.
question. They can't turn you on.
This guy, man. Yo.
You know what I'm talking about? turning
Carla, I
you
think
off,
you got
bro.
something to worry about.
Yo,
Blushing.
Jesus Christ, bro.
What kind of shit are you on right now?
We're gonna edit that shit.
But
out.
yeah, but it's like you
Nah, that's
say.
staying in.
It's like you say. How it's going to be controlled, and then I drive into the city every day.
Right.
I don't want to pay the amount, but
What
I'm,
if you're
I'm
an
still-
Uber?
But I'm still.
How many times?
I think for taxi drivers is only going to be they're going to be charged once.
Yo, let me ask you a
But
question.
that cost
Hold on,
is
let me
gonna
ask you a
go
question.
to the
That's
Yo,
crazy.
I
That's
got
the
a
only
question, I got a
time that you gotta
Yo,
drive.
Jay, I got a question.
once
I got
a
a
day.
question. Yo,
But if I go and I
but I got a question. I got a question. Let's say you live
On 60th Street?
on 60th or 61st and looking for parking at night, you're gonna go around. You're gonna go
No,
around
I
in
think-
circles.
I think they're going to come with stipulations.
So
I mean,
it's
how
just
could they actually
it's like-
tell
it's
that's
like-
your
no,
license?
no, no,
plate,
people
though?
that live in
Like,
Staten
that's-
Island.
Well,
they're gonna do like if you live in
it's like
Staten
the
Island
easy
in a certain
pass.
area,
That's easy.
right? So
That's
it's
crazy.
gonna be an easy pass, and if you live in a certain area, right,
It would've been more fun
You're
if
gonna
you
get a
gotta
discount.
circling
But
going to
imagine that, like you go
parking.
round and around. I was like, I personally, I think it's
It's too much
ridiculous.
control.
It's ridiculous.
Let's take it out of politics. So let's go somewhere else.
Well,
you have something else?
No, I was just gonna say I paid 3 tickets this week, right? And
Whose fault is that, though?
well,
Yo,
Is it
honestly,
your fault?
Jay, shut
one of
up.
these days
I'm
I'm gonna be on the
just
news. I'm gonna drive around with a sledgehammer and I'm gonna start smashing all these cameras that keep catching me.
Yo,
bro.
first of
Oh,
all,
yeah, that's
I think it's
time out,
getting
time out.
ridiculous.
Yo,
No,
bro,
that's super
25.
control.
Let me say this to Mayor Adams, who listens to us every week. 25 miles per hour is too fucking slow. Bro, go in your car and drive 25 miles an hour.
No, I think it's fine.
No, heck no, man.
In the city? Come on, guys.
Not even in the city, bro. Yo, I've done it sometimes, and I'm like, yo, this is impossible. To drive 25 miles, and I get it. When you hit somebody at 25 miles per hour versus
there's
30,
research.
There's research. I haven't read it. Maybe that's my fault.
Like in
But
main
bro,
avenues,
25 miles for, I would say 30, 35.
Like in main avenues, pick it up 30, but no, not 25 is fast, bro.
Just remove the camera. But then, just remove the cameras. So, but if you think about this, a lot of the times
you don't get a ticket to 30 though.
Yeah,
bro.
I run like 23 miles an hour. You gotta go over 10
You
miles an hour. You gotta go over
You gotta
10
go
miles
like
an hour.
at 35. Right.
But
To get the
a lot
ticket.
of the times, the reason some of these pedestrians get hit by the car is also because they're not where they're supposed to be when it comes, right?
Could be.
Because a lot of the times these folks are jaywalking. I mean,
Let's
how many
ticket-
times
let's
you see
ticket the
people standing on
pedestrian.
those little yellow lines? Like that's the force field on those little yellow lines. I
that's
mean,
true.
it's ridiculous, bro.
I mean,
You deserve to. If you're standing on those yellow lines and you get hit by a car, you deserve it.
We digress.
Can we edit that? We're
We
not trying to
digress.
get no
Keep it
lawsuit.
in.
We digress. What was it? What he said?
We ain't trying to get sued over here, bro.
All right, so we digress. So all right, let's talk about control because that's the topic,
Yeah.
right? So Jay, I'm going to you with this, right? Because you're the one who started. Like control. How much control should a partner have over? Should partners have over each other?
Whoa, damn, that was a deep one. I think that we're dealing with that shit.
Hasta el habla le frena.
For real. Nah, listen, I think control is good to an extent, but I think more important is accountability, right? Because if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, there's no reason why you should be on top of me trying to control every single aspect of it, right? But if I'm not doing what I'm expected of me to be doing, then yeah,
It kind of goes back to
have
what
a
we were talking about the
legitimacy,
Airbnb.
yeah.
If you and I have an agreement that I could sublet and you lease,
But I think that's a little different because you mentioned it earlier. It might be the lobbying approach from the hotels because
Well, no,
you start
yeah,
thinking about
definitely.
it too, right? All these major hotel brands lost major revenue
I can't even imagine
because of Airbnb.
Oh,
so I can
millions
probably
and
see
millions
as to
of
why
dollars.
that
I can't-
happened,
right.
Which actually forced some
Billions.
of these hotels to start Airbnb themselves, right?
right.
So but getting to the partnership aspect of it, I think that control to me, like I'm the person that I take as more like a checks and balances. Like you're not trying to control my every single move. You're just trying to say, hey, listen, this is what we need to do. You know, you're holding me accountable to it. So that's the way that I pretty much perceive it now.
I got a business idea as you were talking.
Well, I think that if we continue to allow government, if we keep giving government
we let
the
government,
opportunity,
bro.
but it's
Now in business.
but generally speaking, right? As you continue to give control to someone else, and it doesn't matter to anybody else, right? As you continue to
This
give
message was
control
paid for by Joshua
over and
Reyes from-
over and over,
from
how
Maine.
much control do you actually have if you keep giving?
Yeah.
If you keep giving control, you know,
I think
to
that control
a partner,
can be
right?
dangerous in the wrong hands, right? Like you give control to the wrong person,
So let's take it to kids.
right?
Okay.
Like yeah,
Let's take it
there,
to
there
kids.
you go. Like you.
So you're raising your kids, right? And then when they hit the teenage years, it's like, yo, why? You know, you hear the typical, you know, why you telling me what to do?
You ain't the boss of
You
me.
ain't the boss of me, right? And you're
Bruh.
doing it with good intention.
bro.
Bro.
Like,
So-
bro, I ain't doing the dishes, bro.
What?
Yo,
What?
yo,
Mom,
yo.
check this dude.
Oh, word is like that.
For real.
Damn.
Yo, Jenny, what you got to say? Because you got a
Coño,
teenager.
tú no pagas los biles aquí.
No, I mean Jay got a teenager, but you got a you got a teenager.
I grew up in a household where it was instilled in us by our parents. It was fear. Like at certain points,
It was respect.
but fear also because something
You know why?
you say you see your mom look at you in a certain way.
Cállate.
You see your mom look at you a certain way. Mi mamá decía, prepárate.
Oh, sin
And I'm
decírtelo, sin
like,
decírtelo.
yeah. You know now, like you know, and I don't know if we've gotten soft. Like
Damn.
Well, we've gotten soft.
I think we got. Oh yeah. And they.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
Yeah.
16,
13, 16 right there.
They start that age in which.
yeah, that's what you got.
see,
13.
even the producer agrees with
Yo,
us,
bro,
bro.
man.
Yeah.
Producer Rob knows what
Yeah.
we're talking about, bro.
So you know, and then you know, you want to have that conversation in a way, but sometimes, like I guess I don't know what it is to see in school. I don't know what it is with their friends. They feel
It's-
that entitlement. And
we
like,
go back to culture too. So,
I think culture plays a huge factor. Right?
so how much control is too much control with raising your kids? Because you also have to.
You got to give that flexibility.
But I think that, I think that there is such a thing as too much control with your kids also, right? Because you also have to let them learn, right?
I mean, if you think about it in the aspect of like the media, right? So it's kind of like, all right, you get fixed.
Oh, the media definitely controls us, bro.
Let's use my middle child. So she's 2.5, and she's in a control span as to how much time can she have in an iPad.
Right.
Now, I feel like if I let her do whatever she wants in the control, I don't just hear it from her mother. Oh, you're undisciplined, this and that. I'm like, yo, just chill, let her be. No, but I also feel like, she needs to understand that there's boundaries. So, but if we don't put that control, it's kind of like your child's going to grow up and feel like they can do whatever they want.
It's true.
So I think that in that aspect of it, it's okay.
There's a balance.
Yeah, so it has to have the balances. But now also you can be a controlling parent in which at a teenage level, you're like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, you better be home. But then again, playing devil's advocate, you let them go to a party and they want to stay a little later, and you becoming the controlling freak that you are, that child may not know how to behave in the right setting. So, I feel like that level of you gotta have that checks and balance.
It's a give and take,
like,
right?
Just kind of like how Jelly and I, they were like, yo, Jelly, bájale algo. You start right here, but like, all right, bring it back,
Right.
So
give him a little more, bring him back. So you're gonna call Mayor Adams? You're gonna talk to him?
Forget it, bro. Like, that's it. You know what? Him and I have dinner tomorrow. we'll go over this, bro.
Ay, mi madre. Producer, how much time we got? Se frizó el reloj. We good. Yo, so we got kids, right? We got family, we got partners.
Finances. How much control is too much?
Finances and work, right? Work, because we could bring this into work, right? Like, how much control should your supervisor, manager, director have over you?
I forgot about that already.
I know, estos tigres, that's it. Self-employed mother effers, like
yo, the only one that got control is like your bank account. When
it's low,
cuando they say, yo,
I hate weekends. I gotta go back to work.
That bill viene zumbando. You're like, yo, it's like Jay ran into an unexpected charge. Yo, he was out there marketing. The next day, like, yo, bro,
I gotta get this money, bro.
Oh man! So how much control should money have over you?
I love that one. Dan, why is it that I'm the only one talking here, bro? Like, but I started. Look, money. I'll make it easier. I started. That's the control of me, Now, I think that finances are important, but should not be everything, right? Money's just a vehicle that can take you where you want to go. But money should not define the person that you are.
Yeah, but
because if you're an asshole with money, you're just an asshole, right? But money turn people into assholes as well.
No, I think you misquoted.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
La dañate, bro. That's not how it is. That's not how it is.
Mira,
try it again.
Mira, el día está tan gris, yo soy la crayola del día.
Oh my God. He said it.
Bro, I woke up thinking about that one.
El día está gris, pero yo ando con los lentes. Yo ando con los lentes hoy.
Me llaman el chico de las poesías.
Oh my God, bro.
But
for some people, money controls them. Or gambling. Or drinking.
Or for people that they feel like they never have enough.
Right.
There's a lot of people that.
So I think we're going with too much control is bad.
Or little control.
Too little control is bad.
It's being balanced.
Except for Josh.
If you only had to choose one, right?
Ooh, that's a good question.
If you could only choose one, where either you are the one in control of everything and no one dictates direction that you choose, right? Or control. Because
I don't think
control is direction.
No, but let's see. No, that's a good question.
Control is direction.
That is a good
right?
question.
So if we have to choose extremes, right? Either have one controls every aspect of your life and the other you control everything, but that also means that everything is reliant on you. Which do you choose? I already know the answer.
Yeah, but you've been quiet there for 10 minutes, bro.
He was processing.
No, I mean for you. I mean,
it depends.
just think about it, right?
The way, because you're
so
right.
we'll make these final. This is
final thoughts.
Okay. Final thoughts.
All right, so you can have 100% control, right? It's how you deal with
final
the control.
thoughts is brought to you by La
Right.
Fonfel.
So, like, let's say
plug.
if let's say I run a city, I could run either the well way and doing it the right way, or be a dick and say, no, my rule is my rule and you got to follow my
But
rule.
who dictates what's the right way?
Right.
But who dictates the right way? Right? Because
That's the right way to you.
It's the right way
your
to you.
perception.
But if exactly right, if you're coming from a different perspective, then it's not the right way.
Like, I'm gonna give you an example, right? So
This is
right
your
now,
final thought.
yeah, I'm gonna make it twofold. Can I?
Yeah.
All right. So the first version of it
He
will
didn't
be
even
like,
get through
look,
his
we're in the
final
studio,
thought.
right? So we're in the studio. So think about it. Like, who has control of the cameras? Our producers does, right? So if I tell the producer focus on this lens, he's gonna focus on this lens. If I tell him focus on this lens, so he holds control into the camera that is going to be given the better view.
Yeah, but you're
So-
telling him to.
You're
But-
dictating
but-
control.
all right. So I'm dictating the control. Now,
Oh no,
so that-
because he won't listen to you. He'll say yeah.
he'll
whatever.
see what's best for it.
Exactly.
Put it this way. I'm saying it to make myself feel good, but it's really him who holds control of it, right? But it's kind of like the other way around if you start thinking about in your life.
Answer the question, bro.
I feel that me personally, the way that I run with it, I don't like to have control. I just like got control things and I roll with it.
So you have control.
No, I don't have control over it because whatever I try to control, if it doesn't go that way.
I mean, that's a spiritual.
yeah, like
a
that's more my
that's a
spiritual way of being. It's more like
way of
I let
thinking.
God control what would the outcome be. So that's my final.
So,
thought.
but you didn't answer the question, bro. And Josh
I
had a
just did. I
really
gave
great
you
question.
twofold answer.
Josh had a great question.
I'd rather
and
not
the
have
question was,
I think.
Do I have control or not? I'd rather not have
there's
control.
only two. There's no like balance or anything. Do you want full control or no control?
I don't want no control.
Really?
Yeah, nah.
Who you're giving the control to?
That man up there.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna respect that.
I'm gonna respect that. I can
Yeah.
respect.
I'm gonna respect it, Josh.
I'll let you go first.
So if I had to choose,
That was
like,
a
'cause that
control
was
move, by
question.
the way. You see that, right?
No, because it was his question. It was his question. If I had to choose one, I would say, and this is probably loaded, but I would probably want control,
Where you have total control.
total control.
Okay. Why?
Because I'm not taking it the spiritual route, right?
Okay.
Because obviously, like, I believe in God and I want God to control my life. But if I had to, if I take it like societal ways, like, I don't want government just to fully control me because I feel like I have enough understanding of like what's right and what's wrong and trying to do the right thing and all that stuff. So I don't want
But
somebody.
sometimes, can you think? I mean, this is a final.
What's
thought,
that
but
show? Squid
Can the
Games.
right thing
Squid
for
Games.
you?
Yeah.
Squid
Can the-
Games.
I know, but can the right thing to you be the wrong thing to someone else?
1000% yes.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So
I'd rather my right thing be wrong to them than their right thing be wrong to me. Shit.
That's why I would say the same thing. I would.
I mean,
I would want the control 100%.
And before I share my final thought, Jelly, your final thought got cut off. So I want to make sure. Did you want to add anything else? Yeah.
Okay.
Say it.
Yeah.
No, I would want to have the control. That's 100%.
yeah, he's trying to flex right now.
And I say for me, yeah, I with God's guidance, right? I want control because I also know that, truly we have no control. But for the things that I can control, I worry about those, and the things that I can, I leave in God's hands,
Right.
not government.
It's also a very hypothetical question.
Yeah, of
by the
course.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and but the purpose of this
But
is
again,
also to spark
You
conversation.
know what? Before we would wrap
Right,
it
that's
up,
what
just
we do.
but you said
Yo,
not,
Jay, he's done.
no, he said
He's done,
not
bro.
government. But again, you got control of living in the city that you're living, governed by the people that are above you. So you don't have control.
Bro. Llévatelo, it's in the
Yo, we
street.
catch you next week.
Yes, sir.